Hi, my name's Steve, and my friends call me Steve the Bread Guy. The reason they call me that is because I make a lot of bread and I make it at home. I don't use a bread maker, and I don't buy breads at the store very much because I think, frankly, it's a scam. Everybody used to be able to make bread at home, and now only a few of us can. What's that about? Well, it's one of those things where they're selling us the shirts off our backs. So I'm going to show you how to make bread at home. I'm going to show you that it's really easy and it's actually pretty fast. And once you see this, you'll see the bread that you can make is going to be better than any bread that you can buy in the store. So why would you keep buying it at the store? And don't worry about the recipes. You don't have to jot anything down as I talk. You can go to my website for the recipes. Okay, so let's get started. So what I want to do today, just to sort of ease you into this, is make a basic white bread. Same kind of thing that you buy at the store. And the way you start it off is you need some yeast. This is yeast. You can buy it at health food stores, and you can also buy it at regular grocery stores. It comes in bottles. Yeast, as you may or may not know, is a form of bacteria, actually. Wonderful form of bacteria, which has been useful to human beings for the last few thousand years. And the thing about yeast is that it likes to eat flour. Specifically, it likes to eat carbohydrates, and flour is full of that. And so to get a white bread started, all you need to do is take 2 teaspoons of instant yeast. And don't get the stuff which is the fast rising kind. 2 rises is what you need for bread. So 2 teaspoons goes in there. That's easy. The yeast by itself won't do anything in the bowl. It needs to be turned on. So what we need is some water. Warm water will get the yeast to activate. Now what yeast does is that it likes to eat sugars, and it considers flour a sugar since it's full of carbohydrates. And as it eats the sugars, it lets off gas, carbon dioxide, the same stuff that we breathe out. That carbon dioxide is what makes a bread fluffy. All those little bubbles that you see in bread are from the carbon dioxide bubbles being trapped inside the flour, forcing it to rise. And all of that is because of yeast. So what we need to do is get some water, warm water, to activate the yeast. So I put in 1 and 1 more. First few times I made bread, I got bricks. week after week, every weekend I'd try to make bread. I'd put it in the oven and it would come back and be about this high inside the pan, right? So it's just completely useless. And the reason that was happening was because I didn't understand how yeast worked. Yeast has to be given a chance to activate, or else you're dead in the water. The yeast needs to foam. So once you put it into the bowl with the water, just give it a quick stir, and then go away for a while. What you want to see when you come back is a kind of scummy foam on the top. That means the yeast has been activated by the warm water, and it started to bubble. If that's happening, you're in great shape and you can go forward. You should be patient about this. It may take 10 or 15 minutes depending on how warm your kitchen is and depending on how warm the water was that you put in. But don't worry about it. Usually it'll happen, and if it just doesn't happen at all, dump it and try it again. And there's no point at all in spending the next couple hours waiting around for a loaf of bread which isn't going to be any good. Right now I can see that this yeast isn't quite ready to go. I'm going to go away, come back in a few minutes, and if the yeast is activated, we'll make some bread. Okay, so it's been about 7 or 8 minutes, and I'm back, and in the bowl, the yeast is very happy. It's forming this scum. I can see little bubbles poking up all over the place. So that means the yeast is totally happy and ready to go. So now the next step is we're going to put 2 teaspoons of salt, just regular table salt in there. And this is for taste as well as to keep the yeast from going too far. There's 1, 2. Okay, and then, as you probably guessed, the next major ingredient is flour. And I put in 2 cups of flour right off the top. And I'm just going to stir that around. On this first pass, as you can see, it's just gloopy. It's a lot like pancake batter, just a little bit thicker. That's okay. And then just add 1 cup at a time. You'll add 4 or 5 cups in total. So there's another cup. Stir it up. Don't need to be gentle about this. We just want the flour to get absorbed. another cup, so this is cup number 4 I put in so far. Okay, now it gets tougher to turn with the spoon. Now that's good. That just means that more and more flour is getting absorbed into this. And what I like to do at this point is to get my hands in there. So the beauty of this is you don't actually have to mess up your whole kitchen table. You can just keep it in the bowl, and I won't be needing it on the counter at any point when I make this. So what you do is you just push it down with your hands, and then take one side of it, fold it over so it's sort of like half a sandwich, and push it down again. So it's just a constant folding kind of process. And the kind of consistency that you're going for is it should be kind of silky, not wet, not bone dry either, but here it is sort of halfway through, so you can see it sticks together quite easily. And then I just do this with it for about a minute or so. And it's still a little bit wet, so I just keep folding it in and over on itself like that. So I just sort of fold it like that and then move my hands over, and you can see it's a little bit wet, so I'm going to put it back down into the bowl so it can absorb a little more white flour. Turn it over, same thing, and then pick it up again and just knead it like this. You can see this doesn't take very long, and it's already turning into a pretty good dough ball. So one more time. I'll do this as many times as it needs, but it usually needs a few times. A little bit more. Now it's getting good. So it doesn't feel wet to my fingers, and it's a nice consistent ball. So it holds together on its own, right? You can hold it upside down, it sticks together. It's not wet, it's a little bit tacky. It's not like gloopy, it's just a little bit tacky. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that down for a second. And the bowl still has some flour on it, so I'm just going to push that off with my hands. Get it off your hands. Get off the sides of the bowl, because we're going to put the dough ball back in here. Okay, and just toss that, put that into the compost. Okay, so now we've got an empty bowl. Good. So all I'm doing now is I'm just pushing the oil around the sides, just oiling the bowl. Then you put your dough ball inside. Turn it over once so both sides of the dough ball get coated in oil. And then put a wet towel over top of it. And put it aside. Give it an hour, and we'll come back and we'll do the next step, which takes about 1 minute to do. So as you can see, there hasn't been a big time investment here so far. Most of the time that you're going to spend actually busy with the bread is now done. Okay, I'm back, and it's time to check on our bread and see how it's doing. So, take off the towel, and as you can see, it's sort of, half fills the bowl, which is good. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to punch it down. Now, punching it down means literally I'm going to punch it. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that the carbon dioxide, which has been building up over the last hour, will be released. And I'm also going to knead it so that the strands of the flour will be broken and will be able to form again, which will give it a better structure later on. So, literally, I'm going to punch it. Bang, 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 bang. So, deflate it. Pick it up. And I'm just going to mess with it a little bit. I'm not going to put it onto the tabletop and knead it. I know that that's the way they used to do it. And people would say, knead it for 15 minutes the first time and a few minutes the second time. I don't do that, and these things turn out great. I gather the science behind this is said that kneading is not entirely necessary, so I'm just going to do like that. It's got a nice and it's kind of silky now. It's got a slightly different texture than it did the time before. Like when we put it into the bowl. It's, if you can see there, I'll give you another close-up, it's kind of shiny in the way it looks. It's nice and white, shiny, right? There you go. I'm just going to put that in the bowl for a second. Bring the bread pan over. Nice normal bread pan. Put a little bit of oil into it, just so that we don't want the bread to stick. It's a total drag if the bread sticks when you try and take it out. In there, just rub it around with your hands. stick it in, push it down a bit. As you can see, it just fills the pan, so it's just almost at the very top. If you tilt it this way, you can see there's space on either side. And I'm going to leave this for an hour, and over the next hour it'll become really obvious that it's just going to crest like that. And after an hour, once it's sort of doubled in size and it's cresting like that, then it's ready for the oven. So, once again, I'm going to go do nothing and let my bread do most of the work. So just cover it up again so it doesn't get dry and crusty on the top. And we're done for now. So, see you in about an hour. Okay, we're back. It's been about an hour, so let's see how the bread's doing. So this is the white bread that we started. And as you can see, it has risen very nicely. It's definitely ready to go in. It's almost cresting over the pan there, sort of muffin top style. Okay, I've set the oven to 400 degrees convection bake. That's definitely hot enough to give a nice crust, as well as let it rise and cook all the way through. I'm going to leave it there for 30 minutes, which is perfect amount of time for it to get all the way done. If you want to get a really crackly crust, you can put a pan of water inside, which will give the crust a little more body. So now I'm just going to put it in, and half an hour from now we're going to have a perfect loaf of white bread. Here is our final product. A beautiful white loaf. You can see it's risen really nicely above the pan. It's you can feel when you tap it on the top, it should sound hollow, as this one does. It's got a nice crust to it, and I'd love to just pull it out of the pan right now, but if I do that before it cools down, it'll rip on the sides and you'll wreck that nice crust that you have. So I'm just going to put it down and let it rest, and it takes about 15 minutes for it to cool off, and then you can pull it out. Look at that, huh? All made right here. It's bigger than a standard loaf that you would buy at a store. Tastes better. It is a fraction of the cost. It's good for you, so no downside. So, and by the way, don't worry if you weren't able to copy down all the details as I was talking about. Just go to my website and you'll be able to get the recipe there. And watch this video again if you want some tips, but it smells good. I'm going to have some. I hope you can make one for yourself and you get into the habit, because it's totally worthwhile. Enjoy! See you later. Till next time.